Imagine a nation going to war against a giant bird. Now imagine that bird wins. No, this is not a cartoon. This is real history. In 1932, the Australian military actually declared war on emus, giant, flightless birds. They sent soldiers with machine guns. They launched coordinated attacks. And after thousands of rounds of ammunition, the emus won. Welcome to Time Travelers Anonymous, where history is so absurd, it has to be real. Let's rewind to the early 1930s. Australia was going through a rough time. The Great Depression had wrecked the economy, and thousands of World War I veterans had been given land to farm in Western Australia. But when they started farming wheat, they ran into a massive problem. That problem was emus. Emus are fast, aggressive, and travel in massive flocks. And in 1932, around 20,000 of them started migrating through the farmland like a feathery plague. They trampled crops, broke fences, and caused total chaos. Farmers were losing money and patience. So they went to the government and said, "We need help." And the government answered, with soldiers. Minister of Defense George Pearce approved a military operation to handle the emu situation. Yes, seriously. The mission would be led by Major G. P. W. Meredith. He and his men brought 2 Lewis machine guns, weapons left over from World War I. They also brought 10,000 rounds of ammunition. The plan? Locate the emus, unleash a rain of bullets, and solve the problem in a matter of days. Simple. Except, nothing about this plan went simple. The emus turned out to be way harder to kill than anyone expected. On the first day, the soldiers spotted a group of about 50 birds. They opened fire. The emus scattered instantly. Only a few were hit. Turns out, emus are incredibly fast. They can sprint up to 30 miles per hour, and they zigzag like NFL running backs. They are also shockingly durable. Many were hit, and just kept running. So the military adjusted. They mounted a machine gun on the back of a truck. Which sounds smart until you remember, the terrain was rough, the truck bounced everywhere, and they could not aim. They didn't hit a single bird. By the end of the first week, they had fired hundreds of rounds and killed maybe 200 emus. That is a kill rate of less than 1 bird per 10 bullets. The mission was a disaster. Major Meredith reportedly said, "If we had a military division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world." That is a real quote. From a man who just got dunked on by a bunch of birds. Eventually, the government called off the operation. The emus had won. A second campaign happened later that year. It went slightly better, but only slightly. And even after all that, the emus continued to roam free, because they are emus, and you cannot stop them. The Emu War, as it is now called, became one of the most embarrassing moments in military history. And Australia is the only country that can say it lost a war to a bird. So what can we learn from the Great Emu War? 1. Never underestimate nature. 2. Just because you have machine guns does not mean you will win. And 3. Sometimes, history is hilarious. Thanks for watching Time Travelers Anonymous. Subscribe for more stories that sound fake, but are actually facts. Because let's be real, this timeline is unhinged.